Good morning, all my friends in the US, and good evening to all of my friends in Vietnam. Welcome to another episode of Lit in English. Thanks for joining us. And again, the goal for this Zoom call is to create an environment for us to exercise our English in order to share the great knowledge that we have learned. And our mission is to spread these amazing knowledge to every corner of the world. And by doing that, we will be able to provide the principle, the knowledge needed so that people can materialize what they truly wanted, so they can understand their inner self better, so that they can get closer to the seven holistic wealth. And doing that, they will be able to achieve the holistic life. And I would like to personally thank you for joining us today. You know, this couldn't have happened without your help and support. And with you being here, this is a great place to share our knowledge, to ask questions, because through your question, through the lesson that we learn together, we will understand all of this much better. So thank you for that. All right. So just before we start today's topic, let's revisit what was shared, what were presented yesterday. So yesterday we went over the um, the third principle, which is called the circle of knowledge, and this is three out of the four most important principle that can help us kind of like open the doorway to our inner self, so that we uh, we have all of the definition needed in order to explore, in order to see how our inner self will be like. And the circle of knowledge is one of the very, very amazing definition, amazing principle, because it helps us becoming aware of what is out there, and it helps us have a better understanding of what we know, but we has forgotten. And better yet, we are more conscious of what we do not know. And most importantly, it show us that there are many things out there that we don't know, that we don't know. And it is very important for us to admit to it, because when we make the conscious choice that there are many things that we can learn, then we will be able to learn it. The knowledge will come to us, whether it through like thought exercise, or whether it is a desire that lies deep within ourselves that we seek for it. And yesterday I shared the story of my friend John. He wasn't good at calculus at all. He didn't know what he was doing, so that knowledge was unknown to him. And he came to me asking for help, and I was able to help him with that. So similarly, every other knowledge is actually very, very simple, right? If you don't know about something, you can always either look up information, or you can find a friend who is very good at it, who can help you, and you will be able to learn that knowledge. And it is as simple as that. And especially nowadays, we have Googles, we have all of this information out there that we can learn from. And it is extremely important for us to understand the circle of knowledge, so we can go out there and seek for the knowledge that we desire. Another important key point of the circle of knowledge is that the the knowledge itself, right? The wisdom, it is huge. Therefore, if we were to compare our unconsciousness, which is what we don't know that we don't know, mine would be very similar to your, right? The unconsciousness of a doctor or a lawyer is very much the same as a a farmer or a cook, right? Therefore, everyone is equal, right? You can feel good about yourself. There is no reason to feel bad about yourself because you are special. You are as special as the um, the rich and the wealthy. It just you choose to go on your route and understanding that when you ready and when you decided to pursue what you love, you will know that you are fully capable of it. And let me assure you that you will be able to do it. Unfortunately, in life, most people they don't know what they want, and they usually settle for less, and they didn't think that it was possible that they can be a lawyer, that they can be a doctor, that they can be somebody important. And in our very first day, we went through the six barriers, and that is the whole purpose of answering this question because we can be whatever we want it to be as long as we can break through the sixth barrier, right? A farmer can be a doctor if he wanted to, if he choose to, because the knowledge of the world is there for taking, right? You can just grab it if you choose to. And speaking of that, we are going to explore the fourth principle, which is equally important to our first three. So the three principle that we have went through already is the principle of light, the activation of the human brain, the circle of knowledge. And the fourth one, I would like to invite you to write it down with me. And I don't know if we ever give this a name, but today is the day. Number four, and this is the transformation principle. All right, you see, transformation, as in you can transform to be anything you want it to be. Just like the cocoon, right? It chooses to transform to a beautiful butterfly. So it can fly around, so it can experience the entire world from the looking from high above rather than just crawling on the ground, right? You can have that transformation as well, but you gotta know how. And this is the transformation principle, right? So let's start by writing the word transformation at the very top. Transformation. There. I love this word because it is about transforming, it's about becoming your better version, something greater. And throughout my life, I have seen many transformation. One of the friend that I went to school back in my college day, he was very fat. He was very chubby. He weighed like, I think, over 100 kilogram, over 200 pounds. And he got tired of it. He was one day he just make a decision that I don't want to be like this anymore. I don't want to be fat. I don't want to be unhealthy. I want to be beautiful. I want to be fit. And he made that decision very similar to how Mr. Roger Bannister made the decision that he will run 1 mile under 4 minutes. And only within 6 months, he was able to, from a very, very fat guy, right? He becomes super, super fit, like six pack body, fully muscle, very muscular, very handsome. And that is one of the most amazing transformation that I have ever seen. So that is one of the example of having the transformation physically, right? Because it is easier for us to compare from from how someone looked in the past to how they look in the present. But transformation is not necessarily just the physical appearance, or like how we have mentioned in the seven holistic wealth. Let me bring that back, this paper. Okay. The example that I was giving, that I gave you, was only about health, about the physique, right? Like right here. My friend was able to make the transformation from being very, very unfit to very, very beautiful, fit person. So he was able to make the transformation in his physique, which is one of the seven holistic wealth, right? So if you can apply the very same principle, the transformation principle to the other six holistic wealth, then you will be coming closer to the seven holistic wealth, right? So this is actually one of the very, very important principle that can help literally transform your life and get you from point A to point B. And all of this principle, guy, is all interconnected, as in it's working together. Just like how yesterday we mentioned about the circle of knowledge, right? So if you can somehow combine the circle of knowledge, activation of the human brain, the principle of like, and the transformation principle, you will be able to transfer the knowledge from what you know but you forget to what you know. Or the better word is, you can get the information that you have forgotten and you can transfer it to your know or your consciousness. You can even make the transformation to transfer the knowledge from your unknown Two, your known, which is your consciousness. And better yet, you can even make the conscious decision to have the transformation to make your unconsciousness conscious. And that is the power. That is, I guess, one of the superpower that we can actually learn. All right. So let's thinking about it very quickly. How can we have transformation? How can my friends make the transformation of being overweight, being over 100 kilogram heavy down to 60 kilogram full of muscle? What have made that possible? I want you to think about that question very quickly and why you are doing that. I'm going to write down the answer. Okay. But just underneath of the transformation, let's draw a small arrow. And just right underneath of that, I want to write the word understanding. Right, understanding. So once that my friend was able to understand the importance of having that transformation, once he had the understanding of what he needed to do, then he started doing it and he started to have that transformation, right? He understood that he needed to eating healthier. He understood that he needed to go to the gym to exercise more to burn that calorie so he can grow his muscle. He had the understanding that he need to stress that muscle so that it can grow, so that he can be beautiful. And that's exactly what he did. So in order to have the transformation, we have to have the understanding of whatever transformation that we need. And in order to have the understanding, what do we need to do, guys? Everybody, what do we need to do in order to have a understanding, right? And all of this is might sound like a trick question or something very, very amazing, but the truth is, all of these are very simple. And the amazing thing is, when you ask the question, right, you will find the answer. And this is something that I have mentioned at the very beginning of season 2 as well, when I was talking about the sixth barrier, right? Why do we even have the sixth barrier? The sixth barrier occurs when we have an idea in our mind that we have a desire to do something, which means that that something is very, very important to us. Unfortunately, the second that we have that idea, we started to build barriers, right? We start to making excuses of not doing it. And using the example of my friends who has made the transformation physically, he knows that it is important for him to look good, to be fit, and he was able to break through all of his barrier, like limiting belief, fear of failure, fear of judgment, lack of prerequisite, lack of knowledge, lack of vision, and he was able to do it. For me, I'm still working on it. So to be very, very honest, I still have some of the barrier. That's why I haven't got to where I wanted it yet, but I'm going there. But my main point is everything starts with an idea, the idea coming from somewhere. And then all of a sudden you have this understanding. And through this understanding, you have your own transformation. And the secret of it is we have to learn to ask the right question. So let's do it. Let's write the words questioning at the very bottom here. Questioning. All right. Why is questioning important? Okay. Let's bring back the circle of knowledge. Question is very, very important because that is how we activate the circle of knowledge, right? Kind of like when my friend John asked me about calculus. Okay. It wasn't even my question. It was his question. But because he asked that question, it's activated something in my mind about calculus. And I actually make the conscious choice to look for that knowledge. And I was able to gain it. And by sharing that with John, he was able to get that information as well. And he was able to make that transformation. I was able to make that transformation from not knowing calculus clearly to becoming an expert at calculus. Okay. And all of this was made possible by simply ask the right question. And this is the true power of the brain, right? Because it is full of knowledge. Just like Plato has said, Plato is a very famous philosopher, right? Everything that we are learning, we are actually relearning because everything we have known, we have already learned somewhere or sometime in the past. So by asking the right question, we reactivate those knowledge and we have the transformation from it being unconscious and we make it appear conscious to our consciousness. So asking a question, very, very amazing. And if you don't get it right now, don't worry about it. Just know that it is very important. Okay. So after we ask the question, what do we need to do to get to that understanding so that we can have that transformation? Okay. What my friend shared with me is that he spent a lot of time thinking about his life. He was like 18 years old back then, chubby, overweight. He couldn't do anything. When he tried to get a job, he was just too tired. He doesn't have the energy to go to work because he was just too fat. Just walking around making feel tired. And he really thinking about it. He was like, do I really want to live like this for the rest of my life? And his answer was very simple. No, I don't want this. I want something better. I want to be healthy. I want to look good. I want to have a beautiful girlfriend. So all of that motivation, he decided that, that's it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna start working out. I'm gonna start eating right. And he get the result that he wanted. So the process of asking question and kind of like go through that thought process to figure out what you want to figure out the answer. Let's give it a name, okay? Let's call it. Let's write an arrow, just write about the questioning. And let's call it contemplation or contemplating. Let's go with contemplation. Contemplation. right? Because the question that we are asking is not just a yes or no question. The question that we are asking has to be very meaningful so that we can think about it, so that we can think deeply about it and give its meaning. So question is not just like some like yes or no or some like crazy question. It has to have meaning. It has to have deep meaning to you so that you can really, really contemplate about it, right? Because for my friend, it wasn't just about good luck, it was about his health. You know, he was only 18 and he had to deal with diabetes type 2. So it was a very, very serious question that he truly need an answer to. And thanks to that, he is living a very good life right now, right? He was able to be fit, have more energy, and getting closer to that holistic life. But anyway, after the right questioning, after you contemplation about it, what would be another step to get to the understanding? And this is a word that I like a lot, and it is enlightenment. Enlightenment. Right. So after you ask a very meaningful question, after you contemplate about it, you will become enlightened. Because then the enlightenment is the moment, is the tipping point where you have a clear mind, you know exactly what you want, right? The this that is the moment when the question becoming the answer. Okay. So in that way, enlightenment happened when questioning has transformed to answer, right? Because if you remember what I mentioned earlier, there's something amazing about asking question. There's a miracle almost about asking question because the second that we ask the question is the exact moment that we have the answer. We just need to look for it, right? So in itself, this is very amazing. This is very beautiful because the principle itself is called the transformation principle. And the very basic of it is questioning, asking the right question. And the question will transform to the answer. At that moment, you will feel enlightened, right? And after that enlightenment, it will lead you to understanding. And that, my friends, that is how you reach transformation, right? Sometimes it would take 6 months, like what my friend did. Sometimes it only take like 3 days, like what I did with the calculus class when my friend asked me for help. And unfortunately, there are times that it may take a lifetime, right? There are people who live all their life trying to find the answer, trying to find the meaning of life, to to struggle and not understanding the true meaning of it until their very last moment in the hospital bed. And I'm not trying to be negative or anything. What I'm trying to say is the good news is you don't have to, right? You can truly be grown up. You can truly acquire all of the information needed. You can have that enlightenment. You can have that understanding. You can have that transformation, and you can have that holistic life, right? You can have the seven holistic well. And the story of my friend, it doesn't just stay there. Jack has a very wonderful transformation from a very unfit person. He was able to acquire, to materialize his physique, right? And from looking good, from having a very strong physique, he was able to build up his presence because when he walked into the room, people notice, people can feel that energy, and he acquired his presence. And through interacting with other people, he was able to build relationship that increase his capability, that increase his nobility, that help him make money, right? Because he can find better job. He had energy to perform better. So he was able to build material to make money. And through his experiences in life, or better yet, a better experiences in life, he was able to work on his virtue, to work on his wisdom. And he was able to grow as whole, right? That whole being, that's wholeness, that's holistic life. So when we are aware of it, we can make the conscious choice to work on it, and we will be able to get it. And I'm proud to say that who I am today is a lot better than who I was 6 months ago because I had made that conscious choice as well. I had made the conscious choice to be healthier, to have more energy, to have more presence. I have worked on my wisdom, ability, virtual capacity, material as well. And you can do the same. And these are the principles that will help you to do so. So looking at this piece of paper, transformation seems very simple, right? Because hey, in order to make transformation, we only need to ask the right question. We only need to contemplate about it. We will be enlightened about it. We will have that understanding, and we will have that transformation. It might sound simple, but it is not. And let me tell you why it is not. And once you understand this, it will become simple again, right? And the key of it, the key of all of this is the word contemplation, right? Because in order to have the right contemplating, you will have the right enlightenment. So let me draw a heart here so that we know this is what we want to focusing on. So what happened when we contemplate? Okay. Let's see an example to think deeply about this. Um, let's imagine that you are in a very happy relationship. Okay, I'm sure all of us is somewhat in a good relationship, right, with a person, and it doesn't matter if it is a man or a woman. And let's just say you're in a very good relationship. It doesn't have to be romantic relationship. It can just be friendship, but it is a very valuable friendship, right? And then one day you find out that the other person cheated on you, the other person looked down on you, the other person didn't view you as a good friend uh like you do. Okay. And you have all of the evidence in the world to show that, and you know that to be true, right? Just imagine that is a scenario. What do you think about it? Like, how do you feel about it? To having someone you love very much, someone who dear to you, betray you, right? So I don't know about you, but for me, it will bring up like a lot of negative emotion, right? Because obviously, if we are invested in a relationship like that, and if it doesn't work out the way we want it to, it will bring up something very negative. It will bring up negative emotion. So I want you to help me write down the word negative underneath of the word contemplation, right? Negative. All right. So that would make a lot of sense for it to be negative. But the thing is, the same exact situation, but to one of my friends that I know back in Charlotte, North Carolina, it was actually very positive. So let's write the word positive up top. And this is actually the exact same guy that I told you guys about yesterday about John. So he was in a very good relationship with this one girl in from Canada, right, Toronto. I don't know if John ever gonna listen to this, but it is actually pretty amazing knowing you and learn from you. So he was actually in a very similar situation that I just mentioned, right? He was in a very good relationship with his girlfriend, and she actually moved from Canada to US to stay with him for a couple of years, and they uh, they were actually planning to get married and thing like that. But that relationship is kind of like going in like one direction. It's more towards the girl than for John, because John he had like big vision, he had a big dream, he had a very clear goal, a clear mindset of where he want to be. And after a few years spending with the girl, he realized that this might not be the one for me because our vision wasn't aligned, right? So he kind of wanted to like get out of the relationship, but he didn't he didn't know how, right? He didn't want to break the girl heart pretty much because he still loved her, just not like that anymore. So for John's situation, for the scenario that we just asked, it would be um, contrary to how most of us would feel, right? How we would feel negative about it. For John's situation, he would be very, very positive about it. He would be very, very happy that she found somebody else so that he can move on with his life. So to him, that would be awesome. Great. That was exactly what I wanted. So that we can go on our separate way. And eventually that's what they did. But my point is the same exact scenario, the same exact situation, just different people, different person, right? So how can we have one exact same scenario, but one person view it as negative and the other person would feel it as positive. How is that even possible? And when we look at the scenario, it's becoming obvious to us that because they have different desire, right? Because for us, we want to maintain the relationship that we have with the people we love. But for John, the love was no longer the same, right? He had a different desire. So his desire is no longer to maintain that relationship. So let's take another piece of paper, and I would like you to write the word positive up top. Positive. And then at the bottom, let's write the word negative. Negative. Okay, so we hear the word negative and the word positive a lot, but often we don't really understand exactly what it is, right? It's kind of confusing, and it is actually very simple if we know what we desire. Okay, desire. Right. For us, our desire was to maintain that relationship. So when the scenario occurred to us that is unfavorable to our desire, but for John, the same exact scenario, the same exact outcome, but to John, that outcome is very favorable to his desire, right? So let's write the arrow up here, and well, not really an arrow. I think it's more just like a line. And let's write the word favorable. Favorable. And at the bottom, let's write the word unfavorable. All right. So it is all about our desire, right? We have to have a clear understanding of our desire. Okay. And this is extremely important because just think about this, right? We are talking about asking the right question, contemplation, enlightenment, understanding, and transformation. Okay. My question to you is it easy to have transformation? Right? Think about it for a second. Do you think transformation is easy? Do you think transformation occurs frequently? Does it happen often or does it not? Right? And you are right. Transformation is happening all the time. but is it positive transformation or is it a negative transformation? That is the real question that nobody is really asking. Okay. But if we ask that question, then we can be more in control of it because what we truly want is positive transformation, right? Okay. Like for my friend Jack example, the guy that make the transformation be from being very fat to very fit. Okay. So his transformation was from a very overweight person to a very fit, very healthy person. But you know what? Prior to make that transformation, he has to have the transformation from being a very skinny kid to a very fat kid, right? Because nobody was born like weight 100 kilogram. So we don't want to talk about it, but negative transformation does occur. Or an easier word to understand it is undesirable transformation occurs, right? So let's borrow this. And let me make sure that I spell it right. So let me do what the undesirable word real quick. Undesirable. Okay, found it. So let's write two of the important word down here. We have, actually, let's just write up here so it will be the same color. It'll be easier to understand. So we have desirable, desirable, and for unfavorable, we will have undesirable. All right. So unfortunately, an undesirable transformation, undesirable outcome occurs all the time. The good news is knowing the transformation principle, you will be able to be in control. You will be able to make the conscious decision, a conscious choice to get a desirable outcome, right? And I can see Kim Dong asking, could you give more example about negative and positive to desire? Sure, it's actually very yeah. Let's make it clearer. And don't worry if you don't get it today because this is a journey, right? This is just one of the principle. Eventually, you will get to learn more law and more tool that you can truly materialize the seven holistic wealth. So the idea here is very simple because we are trying to define the definition of positive contemplation versus negative contemplation. And thanks to your question, Kim Dong, because that is where I'm going next as well. Because this we do need to make a clear differentiation between the two, and and this have the direct influences on transformation. And like what I mentioned earlier, transformation occur all the time, right? But that transformation is actually an undesirable transformation. For example, sometimes I don't want to gain weight. I want to be healthy. I want to be handsome. But Lunar New Year is just around the corner. I just got out of a lot of holiday here in the US, right? In November, I have Thanksgiving, where people just eat a lot and get fat pretty much. And then right after Thanksgiving, I have Christmas, which is another big celebration. So people would gather, eat, drink, and then the New Year's come only a week after that. People celebrate even more, right? And for the New Year's, I have a lot of friends that have birthday near the New Year, so we celebrate like birthday. And because all of that celebration, I actually eat a lot more and I gain more weight. So that is one of the undesirable outcome, one of the undesirable transformation. But okay, if I am aware of the desirable transformation, then I would ask a better question and I would focusing on the positives rather than the negative. Okay. And this is where it can get confusion. And this is why a lot of people ask the very exact same question that you are asking, Kim Dong. And this is why we even had this presentation so that we can differentiate it, right? Because to a lot of people they can't differentiate between positive and negative, right? For example, the question, how can I lose weight? Okay, let's think about that question, for example. How can I lose weight? Is that a positive question or is that a negative question? And feel free to write on chat, right? If you think it is positive, you can even just type number one. If you think it is negative, type number two. Or you don't even have to type, just thinking about it, right? Is it positive or is it negative? To a lot of people, and even myself included, I thought it was a very, very positive question because I want to lose weight. What's wrong with trying to lose weight, right? That's amazing because I am aware of me being overweight and I asked the question so that I can find the answer, right? That's what I said earlier. We have to ask the question to find the answer. So we might think that that is a positive question, but reality it is not, right? Because the second that you said I want to lose weight, you kind of like admit to yourself that you are overweight. Okay. Or the question that Jasmine asked uh, last season, he asked, "Do you want? Do I want to be happy or do I want to be sad?" So even though it is a very good question, and I applaud her for that because it helped me demonstrate about the principle of light of how we can just turn the light switch and we have a lit up room. But the question in itself is not a positive question. All right, let's go back to the other piece of paper. Questioning, contemplation, enlightenment, understanding, transformation. Okay, and I just told you that this is the formula. Unfortunately, transformation occur all the time. All of this is occurring all the time, but people tend to ask the negative question. People tend to contemplating toward negativity. That is how most of us were built. Okay. And negativity, why is that occurring? Let's bring back a couple of pieces of paper when we was discussing the activation of the human brain, right? We was aware of the reptilian brain where it's operating on fear. Okay, that is very negative. What about the mammalian brain? It operating on not love, guys. Even though I write the word love because I'm trying to be positive, but the mammalian brain operates on emotion. Okay, But if you have negative emotion, it's kick right back to fear. It's not activating the human brain. In order to operating the human brain, you gotta have love. You gotta have positive emotion, right? So similarly, we want the positive transformation. We want to ask the positive question. We want to ask the positive contemplation. We want to have the positive enlightenment. We want to have the positive understanding. We want to have the positive transformation. Therefore, instead of asking the question, how do I lose weight? Okay. A positive question would be, how can I be healthier? Right. Or instead of asking the question, how can I be happy? You can ask the question, how can I be happier? Right? Because the second that you ask, how can I become happy? How can I lose weight? Okay. The second you ask that, how can I be happy? You kind of like admit it to yourself that you are unhappy, right? So deep down, you already admitted to yourself that you are not happy. And that's why you're looking for the answer to be happy. The same thing for asking, how do I lose weight? Asking the question of how do I lose weight? Deep down, you admitted to yourself that you are overweight, right? But if you asking a question, how can I be healthier? You admitted to yourself that you are already healthy. And that is the absolute truth, right? You are sitting here, you are talking about it. Well, for my friend Jack, he was healthy because he was functioning. He's not sick. He was just overweight, but he can choose to be healthier, right? Well, for all of us, the question we want to ask ourselves is how we can be happier. We are already happy. We just want to be happier, right? Well, for the seven holistic wealth, right? We're not saying that, oh, we don't have any of it. We don't have virtue, we don't have physique, we don't have presence. We don't want to ask the question, how do we have more presence? How do we have more virtue? How do we have more material? Right. It is a little bit tricky, but that is the language of light. Okay. That's why we call ourselves lit, so that we can lit up our inner self, so that we can use positive words. And the reason that we need to use positive word because we are the one who talk to ourselves the most. So by using the right word, we will be able to activate the positive side of it so that our desire will be favorable so that we can materialize what desirable to us. Yeah, let me check Kim Dong, type a pretty long message. When I told myself that I wanted to lose weight, I did a lot of exercise. I did lose weight, but not being enjoy and cannot keep doing for a long time and maybe over exercise. That means negative, like focus on negativity. Does that mean? Well, that is like what I mentioned earlier. From the outside looking in, it might look like it was positive because you're making positive change. But deep down, that is actually not positive. That is actually negative. That is actually unfavorable. And that is undesirable because the second that you say, I wanted to lose weight, you already admitted to yourself that you are overweight. And I know it's kind of hard to understand, but you know what? It is already 7 a.m. and I would love to spend more time here. You are asking great question. And you know what? Tomorrow we will go deep into one the three semantic reference system, and it will help you answering this question. We will go to the root formula where we go deep into the roots, right? So the question that you are asking that most people are not even aware of is the root of the problem or the root of the goodness, right? And great question. I want you to hold on to that question. But the main point of this presentation that I want you to take home with is that after today, you are owning one of the very important principle, and it is called the transformation principle. Okay. You know that it is very important to ask the right question, to have the right contemplation, because it will help you get the right enlightenment, the right understanding, and you will be able to have the right transformation. You will get that seven holistic well, you will get that holistic life because transformation occurring all the time. But by making a conscious decision to be positive, you will be able to get that favorable desire. You will have that desirable transformation. You can be healthier, you can be more beautiful, you can make more money, you will have better relationship, you will have better inner self, right? Relationship with yourself. And life is beautiful. So let's end on that and let's go out with a song. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. Good morning to all of my friends in the US and good evening to all of my friends in Vietnam. And usually I like to keep it within the 1 hour because us US have to go to work, and I know my friend in Vietnam, it's like 10 p.m., get ready to go to bed. Gotta live healthy living. So thank you. Let's go out with some music.